Chapter 13. Conception of an Islamic Nation. The Holy Qur'an is considered as the nucleus to set up a representative government with an elected ruler. It provides a guide to forming an administration with just policies, establish governance with the purpose to do good and dispel evils. The spirit of Islamic policy was maintained by the first four pious caliphs. Hazrat Omar indeed introduced a radical reform. He set up an electoral college to elect the ruler. It is remarkable that he warned that his son should not stand as a candidate, although he was a man of high talent. The ruler was elected by the elite of Medina and subsequently received general approval. Imam Hassan relinquished his authority in favor of Emir Muawiyah. He introduced the abominable innovation of taking an oath of allegiance in favor of his son. The evolutionary process of the electoral system was thus obliterated. The Holy Qur'an has given the guiding principles of political thought and suggests that the details have to be supplemented from generation to generation. The introduction of hereditary monarchy ultimately obliterated the economic order as delineated by the Holy Qur'an. The ruler of an Islamic nation is assigned the duty to enforce the laws of the Qur'an. It implies that he should be conversant with the teachings of the book. However, it does not contemplate that religious heads alone are eligible to govern. Islam does not recognize any section as the custodian of religion. Any Muslim who understands the Quran and is a law-abiding citizen, is eligible to represent the state. The Holy Prophet had already expressed his lamentation that the Muslims would be misled to deviate. My Lord, my people shall disregard to follow the Holy Qur'an, chapter 25-30. The result is that Muslims are deprived of political insight and national integrity. The most important duty of Muslim society is to frame a constitution to conduct a popular, representative government in the light of the teachings of the Quran. In the interest of the healthy development of political insight, a popular, representative government is absolutely essential. This is the highest ideal of Muslim society. A short summary of the teachings of the Holy Quran regarding the constituents of an Islamic nation is mentioned herewith. The grabbing of power without the sanction of public opinion does not deserve legal recognition. A ruler of an Islamic nation should be elected judiciously. The administration should be conducted with the consultation of a body of advisors. The objective of an Islamic nation is to promulgate good and eradicate evil. The Quran enunciates general principles. Details have to be supplemented from age to age. It is the duty of an Islamic nation to ensure that the indigent and helpless are properly looked after. An Islamic nation does not approve of a wide disparity in the economic status of its citizens. It is an important duty of an Islamic nation to establish justice. Equality, fraternity, and justice are the specific landmarks of an Islamic nation. An Islamic nation has to be free from obscenities and vulgarities. The Holy Qur'an says, "It does not behove a man to proclaim, 'Be servile to me.' Rather, every Muslim should aspire to be a devout servant of Allah." This is the literal translation of the verse quoted herewith. It implies that autocracy or monarchy are not valid forms of government. Slavery in any form is rejected. The words of the verse of chapter 1379 are, "It is not appropriate for someone who Allah has blessed with the scripture, wisdom, and prophethood to say to people, 'Worship me instead of Allah.' Rather, he would say, 'Be devoted to the worship of your Lord alone.'" The Holy Quran declares that an important function of Islam is to release mankind from shackles, the shackles of slavery or shackles of arrogant prejudice. Man should pay obeisance to none but Allah alone. The supremacy belongs to Allah. The Book of Allah is the final authority to follow. Man is the agent to enforce the law of Allah, the rule of law should prevail. Allah commends you to repose your trust in one who is really able for the task, be scrupulously judicious in your decision as it is a problem of social importance. Obey your elected ruler. This advice is full of blessings, and all controversial problems have to be resolved by reference to the common will of the people. This is the best way to settle social affairs. In this verse, trust refers to the election of the ruler among you. In the Holy Qur'an, wherever the direction is to refer to Allah and Rasul, it implies the common will of the people has to be taken into account. Allah warns that this piece of injunction bears immense good and is the best way of resolving the problems of life. It is recommended that the administration be conducted in consultation with the camp followers. The Holy Prophet did the same. It is advisable that the body of advisors too should have elected members. For an adequate system of electing the representatives, a framework of a constitution is highly needed. The Holy Qur'an emphasizes the importance of consultation as an administrative policy. It is in the public interest for issues to be resolved in consultation with the members of the advisory board. It is an important duty to attend the call for deliberations on matters of national interest. The commencement and adjournment of the sessions have to be prescribed by the head of state. It implies that the constitution should plan the periods of sittings in the national parliament. The Holy Qur'an enunciates guiding principles. The details have to be formulated from age to age. Islam contemplates a progressive society. With the passage of time, the problems of social implications multiply. A vigilant, progressive society must keep pace with the march of time. The Quran gives guidance with respect to essential factors and admits creative thinking as a sign of man's progression. Allah has promised to offer sovereignty to those who hold up righteousness as a way of life, and they shall enjoy peace and security if they serve and cherish Islam in the best way they can. An Islamic nation has to provide basic needs to all the individuals. Man, as the vicegerent of Allah, is duty-bound to fulfill the tasks that he assigns himself. The integrity of group life and the spirit of fraternity are essential features of an Islamic nation. An Islamic nation has to be a model for the rest of the world, and Muslims have been warned to remain steadfast to the call of Islam. It is imperative on the part of an Islamic nation to organize the economy of the land in a way that is conducive to the establishment of a welfare state. The national wealth has to be distributed so as to create an egalitarian society. The true spirit of brotherhood cannot evolve unless there is parity or is approaching parity in the economic status of the people. Class distinction should not be so wide as to create a section of abject servility. Islamic ideology abhors breeding a section of society absolutely devoid of all resources of sustenance. The following provision will clarify the problem. The Holy Qur'an insists that those who are well off must share with those who are needy and downcast. The national wealth has to be distributed with a view to keeping the circulation spread over the entire community and not confined in the hands of a few. That is, society must have an egalitarian look. Economic independence is a prerequisite for the development of fraternal feeling. The Holy Qur'an enjoins that surplus wealth must be diverted to the betterment and welfare of society. The Holy Qur'an exhorts believers to be generous. Whatever is spent in charity is a loan to Allah. It implies that its recompense must be highly blessed. The verses quoted above are reproduced with translations herewith. An international obligation has been imposed on the Islamic nation by the Holy Qur'an. It is highly desirable to intercede in order to bring about reconciliation between two contending factions. The real object ought to be to remove hostility and establish peace on the basis of justice and equity. It is highly recommended that an alliance with other nations be secured to serve the cause of justice and equity. Help ye one another in righteousness and piety, but help not one another in sin and rancor. Fear God, for God is strict in punishment. The Holy Qur'an has given due recognition to the variations in economic status of the people, but no section should be neglected to live the life of the underdog. The Holy Qur'an exhorts us to be generous and appreciates that one should live decently if one can afford it. It condemns the reckless squandering of wealth. The surplus wealth has to be diverted to the betterment and welfare of society. The Holy Qur'an justifies the use of force only for the cause of justice. In an Islamic nation, the judiciary is absolutely independent, and a very high standard of justice has to be maintained. Even the ruler of the state is amenable to the court of justice. Justice has to be done, even to those who are enemies. Justice must be done, although it may go against your own interests. The demand for justice should, in no case, be compromised. The maintenance of justice is a very remarkable feature of an Islamic nation, and no one is above the law. An Islamic nation must be free from all obscenities and vulgarities. Muslims have been warned not to betray the national trust for the sake of selfish gains. Of all trusts, the trust to represent the state is the most sanguine. The duties of the state must be discharged with meticulous honesty. The Holy Qur'an exhorts us to be alert and ready for self-defense or for any exigency. This is the highest duty of the Islamic nation. The Holy Qur'an exhorts Muslims not to confide state affairs to non-Muslims. Islam does not approve of duplicity in social or political relations. Islam stands for rectitude in private or public life. The Holy Qur'an enjoins you to abide by the treaty that you have accepted. If the other party does not respect the terms of the treaty is abrogated. Exploitation, either on a national or international level, is not approved by the Holy Qur'an. The Holy Qur'an calls for treating all of humanity as one race. The best way to resolve the mutual differences among nations is to repel the evil with something better. This noble lesson of the Qur'an is potent with immense possibilities for international peace. This is the manner in which to make your foe your intimate friend. This is the divine formula for winning friendly relations in personal or international affairs. One who assumes power without the sanction of public consent or one who is engrossed in selfishness does not deserve obedience or cooperation.